Okay, in this demonstration we're going to learn how to use Inventor to draw the adjustment block which has been assigned. Just remember this is you're creating an IPT, which is a part file. So here I'm in Inventor at the beginning, and you have a part file that you can create, and that's where we're going to be at. Later on we're going to look at assemblies, and we're also going to look at how to create drafting or the multiple views of the model. But we'll first start over here with the part, and it does create an extension of IPT. So make sure you save your drawing periodically so you don't lose it. So I'll go ahead and click that, and notice I get a blank screen, and the very first thing you need to do is create a sketch. Alright, notice the ribbon that's up here. This is your 3D modeling ribbon that you have all your features. And the main one we're going to look at is Extrude. After our sketch is created, we'll extrude it. So to start with a sketch, I come over here. Notice this icon is in two different areas. It's got an upper area and a lower area. If you hit the upper area, that takes you right to the sketch. Alright, and notice when you start a brand new sketch, it gives you a choice. You can either draw on the XY plane, you can draw on the YZ plane, or you can draw in the XZ plane. I usually draw in the XY plane just because I'm used to two-dimensional work, and you're always drawn in the XY plane. So I'll go ahead and click that, and notice it brings me normal or to the XY plane, so I can draw in a two-dimensional area. So when I look at this drawing the adjustment block, again I'm going to create sketches, and notice you have a different ribbon that comes up. Alright, these are the lines drawing, just simply just like in the 2D AutoCAD, you can draw lines and circles and arcs and rectangles. Alright, so when you create a sketch, you don't worry so much about the dimensions, but I would be more concerned about the proportion of the sketch. So I'm going to draw this sketch of the adjustment block and just take a look at what I draw. So I'm going to draw a line at the bottom, and the length of it is 4 3/8, but I'm just going to draw it. Looks like roughly 2 inches, and then I'm going to draw it up, kind of like that, and over. And notice as I draw, it has different symbols that tell me if I'm perpendicular, 90 degrees, etc. And so those, you can use those to help you draw. And then I'm going to come here, I'm going to come back here, and then see how it infers that I'm going back to that same starting spot, right? If I go too far, I lose it. If I go right there, I get my same position, click here, and then back down to the beginning. Okay? There's my sketch of that profile. I'll use my roller ball and hold the roller ball down the pan. And when I'm done with my sketch, I can just hit OK for now. You do have the panning and the zooming capability here. The other one you're going to need to know is the orbit. Orbit does the rotation. So if I rotate it like this, say this would be rotation. Alright. And if I want the flat view again, I can hit this. This is called look at it. And you can pick an edge, and then it brings it to the flat plane again. So after I draw my sketch, I need to constrain it. I need to tell the computer what the sizes are. So if I go to dimension, alright, these are how you can constrain by using dimensions. So if I put a dimension, I usually dimension the longest feature first, and then everything else should adjust accordingly. So if I dimension this bottom edge and put in there 4.375, alright, notice how when I dimension that, all the other ones got a little bit bigger as well. Alright, the height of it over here is 1.875. I know on the drawing all the dimensions are in in fraction, but you've got to convert them to decimal. I mean, you can put a fraction in here, but I typically just use decimal. The length here, if you look at it, is 2 and 13/16. So you could put 2 and you could put plus 13/16, if that's how you want to do it. All right. Remember, in this little box here, you can put an algebraic statement in there. You can do division, addition, subtraction, multiplication. You can do square roots. You can do cube roots. You can do a lot of different things in this. Or you could put in 2.8125, which would be 13/16 as well. So there it is. And notice how they're rounded to 3 decimal places. That's just the default value. The thickness here is a 1/2 inch. And I think we've got it covered, don't we? We've got the length here. We've got the height. We've got this. And we got that. So this little area here can take care of itself. There's no need to dimension this because you got this value and you got this value. So after you're done, you can come over here. You can come over here and say finish sketch if you want. All right. Notice it zooms big. So how do you get back? Well, I just double click on the mouse ball, click, click, and it does a zoom extents. After you're done creating your sketch and finishing your sketch, you go back to your feature ribbon. All right. And the one we're going to use is called Extrude. You click this, and it extrudes a certain distance. So right now the default distance is 1. All right, I'm going to change that value to 2.375. That's what it is, 2.375. And hit OK. And there's my basic shape of my part. I look at the parts like I'm machining them, and this is how I would tackle it, machining it. I would get a block, I'd square it up, and I'd cut the notch out, and then put all the other features in from there. Now you can pretty much go anywhere you want to create this model. I'm going to go ahead and put the counter bore hole in. So the counter bore is going to go on this face here. The feature I want you to use is called the hole feature. All right, the hole. So if you click on it, you get a dialog box. And notice the very first part that's highlighted is called face. So I'm going to come here and pick the face, and it's biased to where you pick. Where you pick, it's going to want to put a hole there. So I'll pick right there. So it wants to put a hole there. Now what is highlighted next is called reference 1. Reference 1 and reference 2 are basically the X and Y position of the hole. All right, so the X position, if you click this edge, how far is it over? Well, it looks like it's 1 and 3/16, 1.1875. All right. Now, if you hit enter, you get out of it. So I shouldn't have hit enter. So I'm going to come back here. See how this over here is known as your browser. Your browser keeps track of everything you do. For instance, you have a sketch, and it shows you when I bring my mouse over the sketch, it shows you the sketch over here. All right. And then the extrusion is from that sketch, and there's your extrusion. And the second thing I did was put the hole in, but I didn't quite finish it. So to go and modify it or edit it, you just right mouse click and go to edit feature. All right, and it'll bring this back up, and now I can finish my job. I can go to reference 2, and it looks like it's from the top edge, and that's 1.1875. All right. And what kind of hole is it over here? Is it a through hole, counter bore hole, isn't it? So I pick counter bore, and I fill in all the numbers here based on the counter bore. So it's a 13/16 drill through. What's the diameter of the counter bore? It is 1.5, so 1.5. And how deep is the counter bore? It is 0.5 deep. So you put all those values in and just say OK, and then there's your counter bore. All right, we'll go to rotate it, and there's your counter bore. Next thing, I'm going to put this slot in over here. All right. So I'm going to put a slot right here. So I'm going to go to Sketch. Notice again, the sketch is divided into two, so I'm going to hit the upper. That takes me right to it. Right to that. Click that. All right, it rotates normal. In this case, I'm just going to draw a rectangle right there. Kind of eyeball the size, eyeball the length. Normally on a sketch, I do not put radiuses in. I use the fillet or round feature to put my radiuses in. So I leave everything square and boxy on a sketch. Now I can go ahead and dimension it. So the width of it is 0.75. The location is central. Okay, so I can dimension from here to the edge. And that value, let me show you how this works. The total width of the part is 2.375 minus, I'm taking the width of the slot, minus 0.75, and I'm going to put that in bracket. Go back to your math, CAM 1141, 1142. All right, so what I've done, I'm going to take the whole width minus the slot and divide that whole thing by 2, divided by 2, and that'll give me the dimension here, which it should be the exact same dimension over here, which would make it centered. All right, which is 0.813, which is good. See, if I go ahead and put a dimension on the other side, you'll come up with a statement here. Look at this statement. It says, adding this dimension will overconstrain the sketch. All right, you can accept it, and what happens? It puts a reference dimension in here. Okay, it's not used to drive the model. It's just used as a reference only. So this dimension here would drive the model, or would drive that sketch. Again, this drives the width of it. This is just there for reference. Now the other thing is that I need to figure out how deep this slot goes in. So if I ignore my radius and just square it off, I need to add 3/8. So that distance, if you look at the print, it's 1 3/16 plus 2 1/16 minus 3/8 would give me that. So to do that, I'll put a dimension from the back edge to this edge. All right, and that value would be 1.1875 plus 2.0625. Oop, did I hit an equal there? I got to hit a plus. Okay, so 1.18. Let me get this so you can see it. So it's 1.1875. That's from the left edge to the center of the hole, plus the 2 1/16. All right, so that's the center of the slot, and I'm going to subtract the radius of the slot. All right, subtract 0.375, and that should give me the length there, which it does. All right, so my sketch is fully constrained. I'm going to go ahead and rotate it a little bit, and now I'm going to go ahead and bring that through. So finish my sketch, go to Extrude. Now when you extrude these items, you've got 3 choices. All right, you can use the join, which brings things together. You can use the cut, which subtracts, or you can use the intersection, which does it takes the union between 2 bodies and makes a model out of that. In this case, we want to do a cut. All right. In the distance, I like to just use all. All right. So I just want to cut through the whole thing. So I just use all, so I don't have to worry about a value, and then hit OK. And you can see I've got my cut there. Now let's say, well, you had to put those radiuses in, right? Let me show you how to do that. So I come over to the fillet command. All right. If you look at these icons, there's a little triangle. If you click the triangle, there's stuff underneath it. So if you ever wanted to use a chamfer, you could use the chamfer tool. So I'm going to hit fillet, and right now I'm going to put in a fillet radius of .375 because that's the radius. And then once you put the radius in, you just select the edge right there. Select that edge and select the other edge. Notice how I'm picking through the model, and the computer knows what I'm trying to do. It's picking that edge, and then hit OK, and then I got my radiuses in there now. So again, on a sketch, I leave everything square and boxy, and then I add the fillets and radiuses in later. All right, the last item on this sketch is that circle at the top. So again, I'm going to use a sketch and draw a circle as my sketch, and I'll go to here to the upper, and I'm going to sketch it right on this surface here. And then notice how it goes flat again. And now if you look at this, if you look at the drawing, the center of that arc up here is the same center as this slot radius. So what I'm going to do is, there's a feature here that I want you to understand. It's called project geometry right here. It's in the sketch mode. So if I project geometry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take geometry down here and project it up to my sketch plane. You can see the yellow that was projected up to the sketch plane, and now I can use that to create my sketch because it does contain the center point. So I'm going to use center or circle. I'm going to pick that point right there, so it picks up the center of that, and I'm going to draw my sketch from there. Just kind of eyeball it, and then I'll put a dimension on it. All right, now that's a diameter dimension, so it's 15/16 times 2, so it'd be 15/16. All right, put that in bracket, and then multiply that times 2 times 2. Hit OK. There. So there's my value. All right. Once I'm done with my sketch, I can right mouse click and hit OK. I can hit Finish Sketch. Now it brings me to my feature. I'm just going to take and extrude that circle, and instead of joining, I'm going to cut. And how far am I going to go down? Oh, I'm going to go down 1.875. Okay, the distance will be 1.875 minus 0.5. Okay, because the whole thickness of the whole block is 1.875. Subtract the thickness of the little flange, and I cut it. So there's our model. I've got my radius in there, got my counter bore, I got my slot. Oh, I need to put the little radiuses on the corner here, don't I? Down here I got to get. So those are 7/16 radius. So to do that, just come over here to fillet, put the radius in of 7/16. All right, and then come and pick the corner. Pick the corner. Hit OK. And now I think we're complete. So I've got my radiuses there, slot, this arc, counter bore, and I can rotate it around and look at it. And so you're done with the model called the adjustment block.